Good afternoon. I'm Ted Williams, Fox News. You all have said that these killings are targeted. Can you share with us why you believe they are targeted killings? And do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings? Why you believe they are targeted killings? And do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings? Why you believe they are targeted killings? And do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings?
We stated earlier in the previous press release, our press conference, we believe they're targeted because we take a totality of all the circumstances that we're looking at. Do we know any one person that it was targeted? We're not able to say at this point in time due to our investigation, but we still believe that. But we, like I said, we take a totality of everything that we're looking at.
Let me just take you back to Sunday morning about 1:45. At that time, all 4 victims are back in this house. Now, there are 2 entrances to this home. One through that front door that has a coded lock. We've learned that at times that coded lock would be left off because a lot of people would come to this location for parties. And then there's a sliding back door. And Lawrence, there were 2 individuals in this home that was left untouched. Somebody the next day, around 9 hours after this incident was supposed to have taken place, called law enforcement. When law enforcement got here, they found that the door was unlocked. There was no forced entry. But, Lawrence, I can further tell you, at some stage there was an autopsy performed. The medical examiner said that there was blood all over this place, all on the walls, on the floors. It was a very vicious attack, and the weapon that the medical examiner said was a knife.
The names of the 4 University of Idaho students killed at an off-campus home over the weekend. Moscow police say 20-year-old Ethan Chapin of Conway, Washington, 21-year-old Madison Mogan of Coeur d'Alene, 20-year-old Xana Kernodle of Avondale, Arizona, and 21-year-old Kaylee Goncalves of Rathdrum, Idaho, were found dead yesterday around noon local time in Moscow. Moscow police said the 4 found are homicide victims. The University of Idaho has canceled classes today out of respect for the students.
We understand the public's frustration about not being provided a lot of information. We are working to the best of our ability to actually provide as much as possible. We intend to come out and solicit information from the public if they are within certain areas that we believe are of interest for this investigation.
Why you believe they are targeted killings, and do you know who, if any, of the victims were the actual targets of the killings?
We understand the public's frustration about not being provided a lot of information. We are working to the best of our ability to actually provide as much as possible. We intend to come out and solicit information.
You guys should be able to hear now. I couldn't hear myself either, so. All good? All good. Sorry, I had myself muted as well. All right. Again, welcome to Truth and Transparency. All of the coverage that I've done with this case, I am going through every video that I've ever made, and I am putting a visual podcast together from now until the homicides have the preliminary hearing in June. So it'll be a in real time visual podcast that I have already begun and started last week. This is that intro. So this is that trailer. It'll all come out, but everything that I've done and uncovered, it'll be in chronological order. The little snippets that I deem relevant, I guess you could say, but and then put into a podcast style, but it's going to be like a visual podcast. So basically, look at it as a mini documentary of everything that I've done as far as this case goes, and then everything that I end up doing while I'm actually in Idaho for the preliminary hearing. So, but want to let you guys know what I'm working on. It takes a long time to edit and, get things the right way. Like, what you want to say, but editing it all and actually making it look, somewhat presentable. But I kind of wanted this all to be documented because it should not be a secret to anybody out there that do I think that something is up? Absolutely. Am I saying that I need to know everything and that the public is owed anything? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that we're covering a case, and what I believe in is you are innocent until proven guilty. I believe in our U.S. Constitution. That does not mean that I think that Brian Kohlberger is innocent. What I see is, I'll tell you guys what I think about the evidence once I see it at the preliminary hearing. But from the outside looking in, you see a lot of gaps. So that's what's up. Got some new news. You can't find anything out there on Bethany anymore. If you Google Dylan, you're still going to get some stuff. But everybody's been looking for like a link to somehow link Brian Kohlberger to this house, these people, the victims, anything. And something that I came across, and I'm going to share it here this evening, is back a couple years back, Brian, he went to Las Vegas. He actually had a cousin that died. I'd be speculating or guessing as to what happened, but it was tragic. It was all of a sudden, so I'd rather not and just let it play out, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, Brian was with his dad in Las Vegas for a funeral. And I think it's come out that that was the aunt and uncle that talked about he needed certain pots and pans to eat out of, things like that, due to his, being a vegan. Don't know if that's true. Don't really care if it's true. But what I thought was interesting is Las Vegas. And then when I got actually and went and looked at the obituary lists all the cousins and stuff like that, and the aunts and the uncles of this deceased person. But Brian is nowhere listed in it. So I thought that was interesting. Not sure why. Could mean nothing. But not sure if you guys know anything about that. But, well, Gemini says he wasn't remembered. I remember. He wasn't. I remember that. Yeah. And this was out in Las Vegas. I don't know if you guys know this, but Bethany's from Las Vegas, that area. And again, could be nothing, could be something. But when I say that you can get wiped down from the internet, you absolutely can. You can actually pay a company X amount of thousands of dollars to wipe you from the internet. Meaning if you have articles out there, let's say that you're a really good soccer player or you were, you know, whatever it is, if you don't want to be on the internet, you want your name wiped from it, you could pay a company and they can go through and they can do that. You could also probably have that happen. Let's say that you're in a high profile case and you are a, witness or you're a victim. You could probably do that. You could probably say you want XYZ. Without, going crazy and wanting to know everything about Bethany or anybody else for that matter. It's more like you wanting to know about the case and just whatever the connections could possibly be. And you want to know where people came from. How did these girls all pick each other at the end of the day to be roommates? I've talked about that. So something that I thought was interesting is that it has come out that Brian had a sound cloud and he liked to rap, right? Is that what's out there? I want to send Miss, is that Lily there, says absolutely nothing mentioned about BF. Yes. Hey, Boston. Well, you definitely keep your eyes on the road there. You didn't know that one could erase their information from the internet. Well, now you know. It's not cheap. If you want to do it, it's not cheap. So I'm going to share this on my screen. By the way, thank you guys for all the emails. You guys keep me busy. All right. These are going to be a couple different pictures and stuff that you guys have never seen before. So like I said, this is all new. And I went ahead and sent that to my own email. So let me just pull this up. All right, here we go. Making sure that was not muted. All right, here's a picture of Bethany here. And Bethany, a graduate of Reno High, Bethany went ahead and dyed her hair dark. She did it in her senior year of high school, and she said why she did it. And I'm going to share that with you guys. There you go. Gonna zoom in. Dyed my hair dark to seem smarter. Full sends only. SoundCloud rapper. Diss track on G Money. SoundCloud rapper. Again. There you go. SoundCloud rapper diss track. Okay. I'm coming in hot. Have I missed a lot? Nope. Welcome. You guys are just seeing it. There you go. Again, SoundCloud rapper. So Bethany and Brian both rapping, and I've never even used it. It's like SoundCloud. Is that what? I won't be doing it either. Biggest fear is the Grinch. I'll respond to you in a month. Varsity soccer. I did find one soccer video. Ranked number 1 in the state for dunking. Do I regret it? Yes. Would I do it again? Probably. And so again, could be nothing, could be something. Is there any type of connection between both Bethany, Brian, SoundCloud, rapping, possibly cross paths in Las Vegas? I don't know. I'm just simply saying that I saw it, it caught my eye, and thought I would share it. Also, the fact of the dark hair and a little bit of a background of, I mean, we don't really know that much about her. So I don't need Lana to rap. I just need her to laugh. Guys, I have no voice. It's so bad. What are full sends only? I don't know. We should Google it. I don't know. Like full sends. I don't know. Yeah, what are full sends only, right? Someone Google it, see what it says. Reno and LV aren't side by side. Carson City, and then Reno High School. Believe again, like I said, could be nothing, could be something. Just that I would send it your guys' way. Also to see her possibly, and with the dark hair. No one has seen her since the night before. There's a couple pictures out there of Bethany the night before the homicides over at the house, getting ready for the party that Friday night. It's not it has nothing to do with nudes, hun. But There you go. Full sends means all in, giving 100%. Yeah, from what I was able to gather, decent soccer player. Did a trick video. I'll do it on another video. I'll put it out there. But she did like a trick soccer video to kick a ball into a basketball hoop, and she made the shot. Again, putting this out there that Bethany is completely wiped down from the internet. Very, very hard to find anything. But I did find some stuff, and doctors and dentists run in her family. So went ahead and looked at moving on. I was curious about, how many law enforcement officers are there that make up the department of the Moscow Police Department. And you have your administrative staff, but I was more looking at like your officers, like your captains, your, detectives, investigators, your chief. And I counted 26. I counted 26 officers that I would consider like patrol or, out in the field. And so I just went through to see when they became officers and their backgrounds and stuff like that. And, well, a lot of the guys from the department, they are like all ex-military. There's a lot of ex-military. I thought that was interesting. Nothing's wrong with that, by the way. That's not what I mean by interesting. Just, there's a brotherhood with the military. And, but something even more intriguing for me was the salaries of the different officers, how much they get paid, and then what it is compared to the national average, and then that community's average, things like that. And then we have this homicide. It's not just one person, it's 4 people. And who would normally take this on? Like, who's your detective? And it's not Payne, Thank you there, J-Dubs. Appreciate that. Thank you, Lana. You're a natural investigator and constitutionalist. Appreciate that. It's not Officer Payne. So I was thinking, like, how pissed off would somebody be if, like, you're the detective of the force, or a couple of you guys are, and that's what you do. And then here, this homicide, or 4, I should say, comes and boom, you're not doing it. And instead, somebody that's just been there a couple years is, and well, that's who the lead is. But this person never, hardly, really, I don't even know if I've seen him speak. I'll go back and check. But like, who are these people that make up the police department? Who is really active in it? And then what's the difference between being on the Moscow Police Department and being campus police? What is the difference? Is there a difference? And then what about all the undercover people that were working undercover in plain clothes and doing stuff that had to do with, stopping the minors in possession and minor consumption? Who made up that, part of the force? And you guys, I don't have all the answers to it. I'm simply wanting to bring stuff to your guys' attention, and then you guys can see what you think. Speaking of military, full sends means all out at a task or activity, usually without thinking through the risks or consequences. It's very interesting, huh? Thank you, Lauren, for sharing that. Speaking of military, very interesting. So, thanks to the Truth and Transparency Help Squad, I was like, "Hey guys, we're gonna deep dive the Moscow Police Department. I want everything to do with anybody that could have possibly been fired in the past couple years." And when I basically say this, I pretty much talk to myself, tell myself, "This is what I need to do. This is my to-do list." And like I said, who's newcomers, people that may have left. What about the fire department? What anything that has to do with your community that has to do with protect and serve, you know, because there's a lot of, talk right now about law enforcement. Are they doing everything they can? Are they crooked? Are they not? Are they, this, that, or the other? So let's just go see who is Moscow Police Department. I mean, I don't know, right? I don't live there. And rather than just hearing things from frickin' frack, we can do our own research, that type of thing. So with that said, a couple of us came across a very interesting statistic, or a couple of them rather. So the first thing is, and I'm going to share it here. It's called the police scorecard. Let's take a look at this police scorecard. Okay. This should be sharing on the screen. Make it bigger. Stacy wants corruption for 200. Here it is. Okay. So here we go. This is your police department in Moscow, all right? %57% score, okay, because I had to read it, understand it, and then I wanted to describe it to you guys. And this is a scorecard at a glance. The average for the 4 sections is the 57%. Scores range from 0 to 100%, comparing cities with under 50K population. Cities with higher scores spend less on policing, use less force, are more likely to hold officers accountable, and make fewer arrests for low-level offenses. Again, these are scores range from 0 to 100%, comparing cities with under 50K population, which Moscow has 23,000. Cities with higher scores spend less on policing, use less force, are more likely to hold officers accountable, and make fewer arrests for low-level offenses. Okay? Police budget cost per person, 48%. Misconduct settlements, incomplete. So I don't know. They just didn't feel like turning that in. Fines, 69%. Police presence, over policing, officers per population, 81%. Police violence, 63%. Force used per arrest, incomplete. Deadly force per arrest, 100%. Unarmed victims of deadly force per arrest. Racial disparities in deadly force, incomplete. Maybe that's just not, maybe it just means not applicable. Like I said, I don't know. See if there's a key down here, but police accountability, 30%. That was just a whoa. It's a shocker for me. Okay. Again, this is police accountability, 30%. Misconduct complaints upheld, incomplete. Excessive force complaints upheld, incomplete. Discrimination complaints upheld, incomplete. Criminal misconduct complaints upheld, incomplete. Again. Approach to law enforcement, 75%. Arrest rate for low-level offenses, 60%. Homicide solved, 100%. And that is when I was, started scratching my head about, that's interesting to me because I could have sworn it was the guy Will that disappeared, and then his remains were found off like in a rural area. So I want to go back and see if that was considered, I believe that was Moscow, Idaho, but maybe I'm getting that confused with it being in Washington, like at Washington, but I'm almost positive. So I was really just kind of thrown for a loop there when I saw homicide solved 100%. So they've never had an unsolved homicide. Racial disparities in drug arrests, 65%. Key findings. NA, killings by police. The police have never killed anybody. This agency did not reportedly kill anyone from 2013 to 2021. NA, civilian complaints of police misconduct. So nobody has complained. And not available, not applicable. So it's never happened. Civilian complaints of police misconduct. No civilian complaints data obtained for this agency. $4,593 arrests made. 73% of all arrests were for low-level, non-violent offenses from 2013 to 2021. Again, just showing you guys some stats. I love my numbers. Police funding. Police funding by year. So 5.3 mil, 25,918 residents. I think I said 23,000, so I was off by 2,000 and some change. So basically $207 per resident. More police funding per capita than 52% of departments. So just a little bit over half. Number of officers per 1K population, 35 officers. That's where I said that I only counted 26, though, that are actually, out out of the office, 35. So more officers per population than 19% of departments. Police violence, again, no killings. Police accountability. Total civilian complaints. NA from NA ruled in favor of civilians. Use of force complaints. NA reported. Complaints of police discrimination. NA. Alleged crimes committed by police. NA. NA ruled in favor of civilians. 75% approach to law enforcement. Oh, here we go. 4 homicides from 2013 to 2021. 0 have been unsolved. So now, when I saw that, I really want to go check out the will. I really want to go check out will. And I'm going to go ahead and Google this really quick because yeah. Let's see more. So it's dated though from it was from 1999. So they're talking about current. That's why. So will was 1999. I thought it was more recent than that, but so there are unsolved homicides, but there's been 4 homicides from 2013 to 2021, of which those 4 homicides, none have gone unsolved. But prior to 2013, there are unsolved homicides. Okay. So arrest by the year. Arrest for low-level offenses, 16 per 1,000 residents. They higher arrest rate for low-level offenses than 40% of departments. So wow. That's interesting. Due to the population, you wouldn't expect those numbers right there. All arrests for low-level offenses, 73%. Drug possession, 11%. Violent crimes, 1%. 1%. So I want to ask all of you guys, when you look at this and it's just like, whoa, wow, like nothing goes on in this area. You know what I mean? It's not violent area. It's not, it's not violent. Then you hear about the 4 slain students, and that's a head scratcher, head scratcher, right? All arrests for low-level offenses, 73% of the arrests. Drug possession, 11%. Violent crime, 1%. Idaho Police Department scores. Rankings are based upon a 0 to 100% scale. Departments with higher scores use less force, make fewer arrests for low-level offenses, solve murder cases more often, hold officers more accountable, and spend less on, again. So then this is just comparing the areas. Make sure you guys go ahead and contact your mayor and police chief, share your scorecard with them, and urge them to enact policies to address the issues you've identified. Okay? So you guys can go ahead and do that right there. All right, so I want to see what you guys think. So when you see that, what do you guys think? Thank you for those kind words. Appreciate that. Some Burt's Bees watermelon. Terry. There may be a false sense of security due to not letting the truth come out. Interesting. What about all those overdoses or what about those? It's skewed. I want to question the numbers. I would like to see the civilian criminal complaints filed again. Yeah, that's yeah. Nobody complains. There's no complaints there. I see statistics that tell the story of a police department that has a lot to lose. So nobody has turned in a complaint that has amounted to anything from 2013 to 2000. Is it because they let the Greek council take care of everything? I'm just kidding. I don't know. Also, what do you guys think? Okay, so they say here 36 officers, which that's pretty much what I counted, as I thought 10 don't really go out in the work forcing like to police. Let me check something out here for you. I'll see if I can get a number on that, what that new building costs. But man, how many times have we seen the police called for something very serious calls, and then it seems like 90% of the time there is no report taken. So it just seems like yes. Well, I just can't believe that. I mean, there's no issues. Like 2013 to 2021, nobody's complained about the police. I mean, wow. So I got some new body cam. You guys want to take a look at it? I got some new body cam. Let's see here. Now, it could be nothing. It could be something. Don't know. There was just something that I wanted back when I first did this and I was putting them out. There were 2 calls off of White around 7:00 at night on the day of the homicides. Well, the 13th. Where somebody had called and it was a call from White. I can't remember if it's road or street or avenue over there, the 2000 block. And they wanted information on where the dog was that was put in shelter. And I think that would have to do with Murphy, right? Yes. Stacy, 1 fentanyl overdose per week as of October 26th. Wow, that's so sad. So I was curious about that. On who called to want to know where the dog was from White, like I said, Road Avenue, I can't remember. And then I also wanted to know about a fight that broke out at the Moose Lodge. I wanted to know about the Moose Lodge fight. I don't know why. I just had this, this. No homicides, no complaints, no discrimination, no police brutality, but a lot of accidents and suicides. Let me see if this is still downloading. How many people drown in a foot of water? Not too many. Mary P., let's talk about the number of dead college students they've had in the past 12 months. Seems excessive. Well, I have a question about, stuff that's getting labeled like alcohol poisoning, this hazing with drinking, versus how do we know that's not drug related? I mean, I don't know. I just remember back in the day, people would when they would drink or whatever, then they would get sick, they'd start throwing up and then they would pass out. So what are they doing for this hazing shit? I mean, geez. And please tell your kids they do not need to pay for friends. I'm surprised that more people don't fight, literally throw punches at people. If you try to tell me to do something, I'm going to look at you like you're crazy. Okay. Especially if it's anything forcing something what are you doing? Just, whoa. I'm just surprised there's not more brawls, people fighting and trying to beat each other up. Thank you there, Maple Beef. Yeah, consider people falling out of campus windows. Considering toxicology tests and reports seem to be something unimportant to them. Yeah. My daughter wouldn't make it an hour in a sorority. Yeah. What's the latest with the Luke? Yeah. Latest with Luke is, I mean, the kids at the school, his friends, they're petitioning. They want this to be investigated. They said that it was a horrible hazing incident. So, like, he was found in his dorm room. So who walked him back to his dorm room to be able to even get back to a dorm room versus being found in, a fraternity? You guys, also there's cameras everywhere on campuses. And if there's not, you shouldn't go to that school. Because that's what the world's all about right now. Do you think they don't list what happens with students? Is it done via the... Well, I think anything that's going to make the university look bad, they're going to try to brush it under the rug. My daughter wouldn't make it either. Yes, thank you there, Muggsy. Thank you for that. You're uncovering a truckload of info. Keep it up, girl. Dump trucks over here. You just have to kind of like ask yourself, and maybe I just need to do more research on it, but like, so like your athletic departments, they usually bring a lot of money to a school. So the Greek life, so do they bring, how much money do they bring to the university? Is it, well, if we didn't have sororities and fraternities, people wouldn't come to our school. So I'm curious because I've never looked into it from that capacity, but like you look at the Ohio State University, football generates, X amount of dollars, basketball, all these sports. So when it comes to the fraternities and the sororities, Greek life, what is it generating as far as for the university? Speaking of which, let's look at that. It's the outline of Ohio. Home. That's what makes it a party school, the Greek life. I just, wow. Yes, my home too. Thank you there, Misdemeanor. Appreciate you. Yep, you get charged, you pay, you have like dues and stuff. I just would like to know how that money's divided up. When you're paying, you're paying your tuition, that goes to the university. You're paying your room and board, that goes to the university. So I'm gonna look into it. I mean, kids are gonna find a place to party, okay, wherever. So I don't think that that's what makes a party school. And in fact, I didn't go to any sororities can't even throw parties, but I didn't go to any frat parties. The athletes threw their own parties. We would also go to bars, like, but kids are going to find a place to party and hang out with their friends. I just, as an athlete, we never were like, we're going to take you out and get you fucked up, or whoever stops drinking first lose. Like, that's just like never forcing people to drink, or you have to do this. Like, that just is mind boggling. Like, who cares if they don't want to drink? Right? Why do I care if this person wants to come over my house and have just a couple beers versus 20 beers? I don't understand that. Do people really think it makes them cool? I really would like to know. Because I'll tell you what the most unattractive thing is sloppies. And every frat guy to me was just sloppy drunk and probably has whiskey dick, can't get it up anyways. So, they're doing that every fucking weekend. When are you getting laid? So I don't understand that. Also just like the sloppy mentality of like, what, then you guys are like taking pictures of each other, doing the stupidest shit, drawing dicks on each other's faces. Like I said, I can't wrap my head around any of that. So, but the day that, I felt like I would make fun of somebody because they didn't drink, that doesn't even register in my brain. And in fact, I think it's just literally like, you want to talk about bullying? Your guys' lifestyle is literally grooming people to bully. Terry, thank you so much. Appreciate it. That was very kind. Lana, your channel, love it. I'm glad I got to see you live tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Terry. I like that Italian last name. So I don't understand it. I don't. But I look at fraternities and I'm just like, wow, this is just like, it's like grade school all over again with now your kids back into a situation, and you're like putting them in it by saying, yeah, go Greek because I was in Greek. Well, so that your kid's going to either be part of bullying or going to get bullied. Who would ever sign their kid up for that shit? And the way that these dorms are when you go to college, like the dorms are awesome. That's where you get to meet everybody, and you're all living on the floors, and it's where you meet all your good friends. And then you decide, okay, we're going to go get a house. And then, all the other friends that you met, but that you don't technically live with, and then why aren't y'all just throwing like house parties? You do the same thing. And in fact, you don't have to I don't got to listen to your stupid fucking rules. I don't have to keep a certain GPA. I don't understand. But hey, they say if you're in a frat, then it's like a fraternity for life. So when you go to get a job, if you're in this fraternity and I was too, I'm going to give you the job over somebody else. Can you imagine that your doctor isn't the best, but instead they gave it to somebody that was in a fraternity? Wow. None of these kids went to Dare, and it shows. Manny Joe, thanks for the laugh there. Do they even have Dare anymore? David, great question. I just don't get what the big attraction is to the Greek life crap. Well, I'm going to tell you what it is. It's the universities. That's what it seems like to me. Because if the universities didn't let it be like, okay, like a homecoming, all the sororities and fraternities get to have a float in the homecoming parade. Wait, what? Do the athletes get to have each of their, I mean, do they do, I'm just like, wait, what? And then it does not promote inclusion. So it's just the most oxymoron thing I think I've ever heard of. Hey, come to our school because it's all about inclusion, but then you go around on rush week and you don't get bidded on. I feel really included here. I don't know. I went to Catholic school for 8 years. It was like a bad migraine. Terry. Yeah, we did all at the dorms. Yeah. No, actually what I'm talking about is I'm talking about the deaths and this alcohol poisoning and these drugs, and people are overdosing. And that's what I'm actually talking about, which is directly related to the Greek life, especially when the kids are saying about, the hazing that's going on. You just don't hear about that. You don't ever hear about the stories where, okay, hey, a bunch of kids were at a house party and they were doing X, Y, and Z to this one kid, and then he died at just some random house party. There's a backstory with it where it had something to do with the Greek life, because that's what they're doing to the people in order to be included in something, which to me doesn't make any sense, because the people that I would want in my fraternity or sorority are people that can do X, Y, and Z. And being a massive slop tart is not going to get X, Y, and Z in my book. But just because somebody can not get alcohol poisoning, okay, they made it. Like, that's just, ooh. Doesn't even make any sense. You don't hear about athletes. Here's a gun. You got to go kill somebody if you want to be on the team. Because what I mean by that is you hear athletes supposedly having like these violence, these violence it goes hand in hand with athletes. So I'm just trying to compare to say, well, can you imagine if here, in order to be on the team, you got to go rob that lady because it's a gang. It's a gang mentality. In order to be in the Bloods and the Crips, you got to go do this. Okay, now you can be one of us. We basically have to get something on you so that we can then control you and manipulate you. And if that's what people do, if they want to have the upper hand on you, we can't have a person that's squeaky clean. We need them to do X, Y, and Z so that we can then blackmail them to then do what we want. And then you bring people along when you do shitty stuff. And I just don't think that kids should have to be anywhere near that crap. And then the thing that I don't get is why have to hide it? Just recently, one of the kids from the Alabama basketball team, he just got arrested for supplying the gun in a murder. And it was all over the news. Boom, all over the news, obviously off the basketball team, out of the university, right? He's cuffed. He's being charged for murder, actually. But that's all everywhere, right? But then here you come to the Greek life and wait a second. No. We're going to handle this privately. No one's getting in trouble. You're just not, no one's going to talk about it, but you're just going to not be in the fraternity anymore? But do you still get to go to school there? Are you expelled from school? Why can't they just talk about it? Why can't they just say, hey, so-and-so got expelled from school for doing X, Y, Z? When you're doing the same thing to an athlete, when they get in trouble with X, Y, Z. When you get caught with drugs, I don't even know, at fraternities or sororities, what happens to you? Do you get expelled from school? Are you no longer allowed to be in the fraternity or sorority? Do you get chances? How does that work? Absolutely. And guess what? They put it in the paper when it happens. You bet about TMZ's all over that shit. Can you imagine if TMZ started reporting on the Greek life? Because I would love it. TMZ reports on the athletes all the time. TMZ reports on the college athletes. They report on the professional athletes. Well, let's have TMZ start reporting on the Greek life. They usually get their hands on a bunch of shit. Can you imagine if TMZ got their hands on all those Snapchats and started paying people for their Snapchats to put out there? That's what I want to see. They love leads. They'll pay you for them. Here's a couple $1,000s, you know. And then what happens? You know, it's TMZ here at University of Hawaii. Essentially, they don't want to get their charter suspended. So, but all the charters are 501c3 nonprofits, I believe. It's a very whack situation. I just think that kids should just boycott if kids want to make a difference somewhere, boycott the fraternities and sororities. See what happens. Start your own off campus, and call it the whatever house. Go rent a whole little block off and call it whatever you want. Hang out with all your friends. You don't have to do stupid stuff. Yep. Marcus, they sure did. They went after the Duke lacrosse team for political reasons. There's 100,000s of athletes that do things you never hear about. And who do we blame for it all? I blame the universities. Because the universities only care about the universities and the moral of this live has to do with, who really owns the Moscow Police Department? Do you think the Moscow Police Department owns the Moscow Police Department? I don't. I think those body cams tell us a lot. I think I'm going to go lay in bed tonight and watch the body cams and listen to the guys talk about, we're going to turn them into campus police. Well, who is campus police? Because Moscow, is they have 2 people that are from the Moscow Police Department that are actually a campus police. It's a very very interesting. Why do you think the dean talked at press conference? So he could excuse all the students, even though it could have been a student and you'd want to see hands and faces and cuts and bruises and stuff like that. You know, I went ahead and don't even ask me why I did this, but I thought to myself, oh, you know what? Let's see what this South Carolina case is all about. So I watched the 2020 episode of Alec Murdoch and then the Lori Vallow, Chad Daybell. I'm like, holy shit, what is wrong with you people? Light zombies, dark zombies. I just couldn't even. But I want to give hands down to who did it. Netflix. Netflix did that document, that 3-part. Give her oldest son so much credit for even doing that. But to actually try to explain that story to the point that you could actually watch it and understand it. Netflix, hands down, so much credit for the way that was done. Her eldest son, I didn't realize how much shit he had gotten back when this all happened, and he was doing some like YouTube videos. People thinking that I guess he was involved or knew stuff, and he didn't know anything. But I thought that was really well done, to the point that, you know, when you're watching an episode, you can watch another one, and so, but wild. And then the poor husband. I get it now. The police department's thinking this guy's crazy. But thank you there, Mikey J. Just saying hello, Lana. It's Patty, my son, took over my YouTube account. Patty, you're a sweetheart. Think they sign NDAs when they join. Oh, that's funny. We want Lana body cam. We want Lana body cam. Oh yeah, body cam. We'll get to it. We'll get to the body cam. This stuff has to download and yeah, so anyways, I'm watching. So I'm actually going to do a live tomorrow. I think it's the date for that, for the Hampton, South Carolina. But the Lori, woo. What's up, Voidy? Lana's too shy for body cam. No, you'll hear one too many cuss words probably. I'll be like, what the hell's going on? You'll get some good body cam in Idaho. Like that whole trip will be recorded. But so I was listening to the past 4 days of the murder trial for Alec with his son that's sitting behind him. And I mean, I'll be the first to tell you that I always look at somebody that, hey, you are innocent until proven guilty. Like that's how I'll always be. So I'm going into everything like, okay, these people are, innocent, and then you have to provide this proof. And I'm also the same person that's going to be like, hey, just because this person is a shitbag, I unfortunately, like, I'm not that type of person that goes, oh, that means that they killed. But I loved how all the parents from the boating accident came together and were like, okay, we're not gonna let this guy push us around anymore in that community. But I question, I will tell you this because I'm looking into it. I question how he was so clean. I'm curious about the ping on the phone only because of what we're talking about in this case. So, yeah. So his attorney, though, that was his opening statement. His opening statement is you guys took an oath. We all take oaths. You guys take oaths. And the oath that you took here today is that, that man right there is innocent. He is innocent. And I thought that was a really good opening to say it like that. I thought that was really, really good. Just to remind everybody, like, listen, right here, right now, he's innocent. And so with like Brian Kohlberger, he's innocent right now. Once we get all the evidence, okay, then yeah, he's guilty, and anybody else that did it, whatever, they're guilty. But I thought his attorney, who, yeah, God bless him, he's a little older. But his opening statement, I thought it would resonate with keeping it simple for a jury and saying things like prosecution's using pure conjecture. We're going to be talking about, you got to just go with the facts. But hey, he's innocent. He's innocent right now. And that's the oath that you took is innocent until proven guilty. So if this man is not innocent in your eyes right now, then the oath that you took, you already violated. So it's Buster. Yes, it is Buster. Buster, Paul, Maggie. But I'm more like going to be talking about the facts. So I'm making a reel for that case, and just something's caught my attention. I still don't see any reason, the motive to kill his son and wife. So doesn't mean that he didn't, though. Also, we haven't gotten that far in the trial. Curious to know if there was life insurance policies, but also calling up some random guy to come shoot you. Wild. So yeah, I'm doing just the main points of each person that had talked, and then the cross on each person that had talked. Because, they can get carried away with XYZ. Interesting on the timing. I didn't know his father died. Then 2 days later, there are secret societies everywhere. There absolutely are. Absolutely is. Yep. I think when you get away with stuff your whole life, you keep getting away with things, then that's when I think crazier stuff can happen. AC says guilty as sin. Absolutely might be. 100%. You don't need motive to convict. But normally there is a motive when you're talking about murder, when you're talking about planning something, there's usually a motive as to why. I may convict you on, something other than murder. Oh, yep, it's called being spoiled, lack of independence. His father died 2 days after. Yep. Sure did. Yep. I thought they already exhumed her body. Lana, what about the bar stools? The bar stools, 100% were not there. And then law enforcement placed them there. I don't know why they would do such a thing, but I believe all my research points to that they did. There's no tape on that door. I posted those pictures today. Then you go ahead and you put the bar stools in, and it doesn't make any sense to me. You have somebody watching the house. You don't need that. I don't know. Can you imagine having to answer that question? Why is all the FBI there? I believe they were already there, in my opinion. Hmm. Oh, good. Tripped over a dog down some stairs that don't exist. Yeah, between South Carolina and Idaho, man, people were just dying left and right around those families. Lori and Alex, I mean, just wild. Well, they weren't placed there. I went ahead and went back through all these pictures to find the one where one of the first officers there, it was Officer Smith, and it was actually Noonan's body cam, who's very new to the force. He was standing in the doorway. No police tape had been put up yet in terms of the evidence tape. Once you seal it, and then if you open it, then you have to put a new piece of tape on. So yeah. So it was done definitely after the fact. And definitely, let's say that it wasn't, you would just keep the stools there, and you would keep, you'd be processing the scene with the stools closed and dusting all around the outside and the inside of that slider, dusting the stools to see who put them there. I don't think that there's going to be any good reason that you put those there, even if you say, oh, well, we were trying to secure it. We watched the front of the house, but we couldn't watch both. I mean, nothing that they're going to be able to say is going to be able to. I will say this. I posted about the berries, and I think that there could be possibly something to the fact that that's not blood where the berries are on the top deck. But what I do think that's a possibility is that I would like to know why those ones there are smashed. Were they squished because somebody was pulling up to get to the deck? Was somebody coming down? Like, did somebody put their feet on where those berries were? I think I put that picture up as well. So, yeah. So the let me actually pull that up. There's that picture for you. So you can see there, see the slider. There's no tape yet. And that is Officer Mitch Noonans, and he's the one that's talked about in the PCA. It's his body cam that finds the dog and stuff like that. So right here, there's no evidence tape yet. So those stools got put in, and they're going to say it was extra protection to lock it. And maybe the only thing that I can think of is that the door did not lock. But why would you use anything from in the house? Take your happy ass to Walmart and get a door jam with like a wooden stick. I don't understand. So there you go, Stacy. Maybe that door never locked. Maybe it was, the lock was broken. So that'll be interesting when it says like no sign of forced entry. So, tons of trash was outside that door. Speaking more about this and everything to do with that day, listening to actually the trial that's going on right now and listening to what the officer says that he was supposed to do as like the first responding and, securing the scene and then what they do. I think it's worth listening to because I think that's going to have a lot to do with this case. And that's that Alec Murdoch, the murder for his wife and child. So I'm putting a reel together so you guys, if you don't want to go watch it yourselves, you can catch some of the highlights here. I like the Q&A portions of the live from time to time. Good. See, I think that's actually misspoken right there about Xana's dad with everything to do with the lock and the door. as far as like replacing it versus like if something was just like stuck or so I think that's going to be interesting to hear when that all comes out. No one talks about this yet, so we can go ahead and talk about it. Why not? But I mean, what are the odds that that only one of the surviving roommates was actually home at the time that, like, let's hypothetically say that it was Dylan's phone, it was Dylan that was there, calls whoever over, but that since Bethany's on the bottom floor, when she just woke up, she had to go do something. So she walked out the front door and never went upstairs. And so, because it's still a mystery to me, and no one's talking about it, which is Dylan and Bethany's vehicles. Where were they? Did they even own vehicles? Did they have them on campus? Well, Bethany got a ticket on October 20th, 2022 for following too close behind on I-95. Well, what car was she driving? It was in Whitman County, so it was in Pullman. But she got pulled over and she got a ticket a month before the murders. Would love to know what car she was driving. Would love to know if it was her car, if it was somebody else's car. And then if she does have a car, where was it parked? Again, Bethany was pulled over October 20th, 2022, less than a month before the murders on I-95 for traveling too close behind. Whose car was she driving? Was she driving her own? She ended up not paying the ticket on time and ended up getting a late fee on it, $52 extra. Ends up being $200 and some that she ends up paying December 13th, 2022 in full. The day before the White Elantra news breaks about the picture that was put out and went viral on the gas station person. So, curious to know whose vehicle Bethany was driving. Does Bethany have a vehicle? This dude's wild. Looks like the second arrest will happen before President's Day. The identity of the arrestee and the specific charges will be a real eye-opener and a jaw-dropper for many. Hashtag Idaho student murders. Again, so all the vehicles that you guys see that got towed away, that was Ethan's Jeep. That was obviously the Range Rover. Then you got Xana's, and then you got Maddie's. And then the extra vehicle that got towed was the second vehicle belonging to the Chapins. And my question is did they drive that vehicle over that morning? Did they walk over? Was that vehicle just left there from the night before? Because people usually don't drink and drive, especially if you're just walking across the street. I mean, I don't know. Maybe did they spend the night there? Who knows? But remember that vehicle that was the Black Explorer, that was inside the tape, and it had to stay for whatever reason. And I started thinking more about that, and I'm curious if, I'm curious about why it was inside the tape. Lana, do you think others may be involved? Oh yeah. This wasn't some serial killer. If this was some serial killer, none of this would be happening. The answer to the discovery wouldn't have happened. The response wouldn't have happened that way. What Anne wanted and wrote for the discovery would have been written that way. Everything that's going on right now. This isn't this is going to be very complex. Let's see. I'll tell you that I'm very curious to know if Kaylee posted that Range Rover on social media. And that's going to be really, really important. The reason being is because nobody would have known what that car looked like that was possibly stalking them. Whoever was planning on doing this, whatever was planning on going down, that person, if it would have just been somebody that wasn't normally around them, didn't have an inside to know, like, oh yeah, that's Kaylee's new vehicle. It's just Kaylee's car. Versus, why wouldn't it be friends that pulled up with like 3, 2, 4 people in the vehicle to be there for the weekend? Why couldn't it be Jake and his friends that came up from Boise that weekend? You're going to know what's going on. You're going to pay attention to what vehicles are there. And that would have been a really big, oh, whose fucking car is this type of thing? Well, who's this? I mean, and the only way that I think that you would get that answer is if you had the ability to run plates, or if you had an inside track. So however you think that you could, you want to break that down. If it's somebody that's inside that's going to give you that information, or a neighbor or a friend. So, I think that it is beyond telling that there is an informant involved in some capacity in terms of whenever they would have given this information, that they feel that they're going to try to protect this person. I think this is how they got to the name that they got. I don't believe it. I don't believe this whole narrowing down of this blob of a white Elantra. That's only going to help your case. But that's not what your case should be built on. I don't think that it is. That'll come out. Think about this, guys. There's 995 pages that they've already received. So those are going to be all like the incident reports from any, any interview that you've done. Ann Taylor did a phenomenal job in wording that request, because however she worded it there with the search warrants separately, it got Bill Thompson to respond back about an informant and about work product and informants, and that there's stuff that's protected. And again, why would any of this need to be a thing if this was what they've been saying? I think from a psychological standpoint, it doesn't fit the guy that they have, but that doesn't mean that he couldn't have done it. That's what I think. It just, when you have too many things that don't add up, you can't just a couple of these things here. Okay, yeah, but 5 of these things just are not, like, you can't just ignore that. I think for them to be saying that this crime happened between 3 and 4, that's solely on, like they said, it's all on Dylan's testimony, and then Dylan and Bethany's phones, and then the videos. It has nothing to do with the victims as far as the time of the crime. They said there's 3 things that they considered when labeling the time between 4 and 4:25. And so they're not using anything to do with any of the victims, meaning their digital footprint, which I thought was interesting. Aaron, informant just means a person who gives information. You would not need to talk about that at all. When she wrote the request, she said that she wants the search warrants, any search warrant, whether it was accepted or not, whether it was denied, accepted, whatever was in the application for it. So whatever you're looking for, this house, these items, we talked to so-and-so, and this is what we believe we're going to find, X, Y, and Z. And then, so when she wrote that, all the prosecution would do is say what they've said in the other 10 listed out things. You would say, yep, we will comply with, it's Idaho Rule C-16, please see Exhibit A, boom, it's done. No. What happened is that they're asking for somebody to be protected, and because there's search warrants, plural or singular, that involve a informant that they are wanting to protect. So if you're just like a witness to something, you're a witness, but this is somebody that they're referring to that they are not going to have testify, and that they want protection for this person, and that basically when you ask for those search warrants, normally you're going to find those in the 995 pages that we already gave you. But Bill Thompson had to tell her that there is stuff missing when it comes to search warrants, because otherwise that would be a violation. So he had no choice because of her saying she wanted these search warrants. He had to come back with what he was saying, because all the search warrants were not in and not going to be produced. And so now she's going to have to come back, and that's going to be a battle. Yes, correct, but that doesn't necessarily mean that anything nefarious is going on. Who said anything about it being nefarious? Has nothing to do about being nefarious. This has to do with Why would you need to protect somebody? Everybody's saying how amazing this PCA is. PCA is amazing, right? With what we got here, we can just fry them, right? I mean, wait a second. You know what this tells me? This tells me that, how did we get to the name Brian Kohlberger? It's just about you're not wanting to turn over a search warrant or possibly multiple search warrants, whether or not they were accepted, because you need to protect your informant. But this informant, who's not going to testify, but the information that they provided you led to this arrest. That's what that's telling me. Because for you to invoke, you don't just get privilege to be protected. That's not how it works. When you want to go to that extent that you're okay, we're gonna try to get informant privilege on somebody. Why? What's the problem here? Think about it. If all your information is that you were over some guy's house and this guy came in, he was all bloody at my friend's house, and I just happened to see it, or my friend happens to tell me about it, so that when the cops come to me and I tell them about what I saw or what I heard, my information would be put down on a search warrant for me to then go to my friend's house. If they won't let me in, to try to get that search warrant to go in there to see if there's blood then on the couch, that, however this would have come about, but it came about me going to the police, or the police coming to me saying this. But why would I need any type of protection here? It's way more in depth than that. It's going to have to do with I just believe it's going to have to do with things that would take down other things. It would. This is going to be wild. I'm trying to explain it the best way that I can, but it's not that it's not going to be. I thought this was just a guy that is a weirdo and came from Pennsylvania, and he's so awkward. He's an incel. He's this, he's that, he's whatever. And that he was stalking these girls, stalking that house, drove by there so many times, wanted what they had and he didn't have, drove around all over the place in Moscow, and then decided, okay, I'm going to just go in and I'm going to go in the back slider, stab 4 people, and be in and out in like 10 minutes. And then not cut myself at all. No DNA right now that we know of, except for touch DNA on a sheath that was left on the side of the bed. Then frantically got in a vehicle, then drove away, because this is some crazed person. And guess what, guys? The community and the rest of the nation, you guys are not to be, this is a targeted, isolated attack. Nobody needs to be worried. This person isn't going to go out and go kill you. This person didn't cut themselves in any type of way after making numerous stabbings per person. No blood transfer. You have to have such this heavy circumstantial digital probable cause. We see them walking out with a bunch of stuff out of his apartment, but then there's like 10 things listed. And that got all sealed in a weird way. Imminent danger. I mean, wow. So when you take all of that, and I'm going to use their word, the totality of that, okay, well, Brian Kohlberg is the guy, and he's just crazy. He's just like some weirdo. Like, it's just, that's not what it is. Thank you there. Appreciate that. No blood outside. Nobody hears any screaming. Even the person that's your eyewitness doesn't talk about screaming, doesn't talk about hearing dog barking, bushy eyebrows. Then WSU comes across this vehicle, even though it's like, it's basically like, here you go. Here's your guy. Figure out a way to get from point A to point Z. But you can't use this way because it's just not, you can't use that way. Because that way will out all this other stuff. So you can't use that way, but here's your guy. Get there a different way. But that's the thing, is this isn't a confidential informant. This isn't somebody that was like an informant. I mean, could it be? But then you got to ask yourself, well, what is there a confidential informant involved from the beginning with these high or college girls that are like, what's going on here? The informant protection isn't about a confidential informant. It doesn't have to be that. It could be, I mean, I could pull up the rule and read it, what it means. They're just trying to protect something else. And it's not going to happen. Not if the public stays on it. Not if the media stays with it. If the media pays attention and mainstream media gets their heads out of their asses and stays on it, okay, it's going to be hard to cover stuff up. But if mainstream media wants to bow down, that made me. Can we get Adam on here? Adam, what did they tell you? I told him everything. Yep, there'd be a smell, 100. So I'm trying to go through all these when I look back up over here. Yeah, most informants are criminals, by the way. Yes. I think in some capacity, this person could possibly be, like, for example, this person could possibly be, like, let's say Bethany. Bethany, we're not planning on having her testify. But then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, well, why wouldn't the defense, though, have her testify? Because I want to talk about her sleep patterns. I would want to talk about what type of sleeper she is. I would want to talk about How do you know that everybody was home at 1:45? I'm sorry, how do you know where Ethan and Xana were between 1 and 1:45 if you're already back at the King Road residence at 1? But if, hypothetically speaking, if Bethany was having sex with Brian, let's say, and he picks her up in the morning, or possibly even came over and acted like he was having a booty call with her, and let's say he committed the murders and then just got right in bed with her, I mean, then just left up out of there in the morning like people do, or they decided that they were leaving together because they had to go do something. It's and so like when they left out the front door, they never even went upstairs. Then she gets a phone call. She's not thinking anything of it. Like, that's my boyfriend kind of, but like we just kind of like really don't date, but we kind of just hook up, whatever we are. But here she doesn't think anything of it, that it could be Brian, right? So, but she's going to be interviewed. And when she's being interviewed, hey, where were you? Well, I was there. Okay. What time did you go to bed? Maybe they didn't ask her the first time if someone slept over. I don't know. Then maybe it came up like, okay, yeah, someone did sleep over. Oh, who was it? So you don't know what. It's very interesting though that it's if you have a safe in your room and it's locked, because that house is deemed a crime scene, right? Can the officers go into your locked safe? Do they have to have a search warrant to get into your locked safe? Do they have to ask you? Aaron, I will give you a shout out. Thanks, Aaron. I often disagree with your conclusions. Appreciate and respect you thinking on my comments. So how do you feel that you've been probably, disagreeing with my conclusions, but they've been pretty spot on. It's just going to be interesting. With a warrant, yes, they have to have specific data that something is in the safe, I think. I'm just curious, like, so this is a crime scene, right? And we were talking about this the other day, me and my friends. Can you just like go in someone's fire safe? In college I had a fire safe, all like my, you have your social security card, your birth certificate, stuff like that. Or would they just be able, can they just go in whatever? Can they look wherever? Do they have to get a search warrant? Now, what about that room, period? What if because not that this was the case, but people out there were trying to say that the house was rented off individually. So if that is the case, then you can't just come into my room, even if it was a crime scene, right? Because this is a separate house, right? How does that work? Sometimes I can't even get in my safe. Yeah, everything in plain view is fair game. Okay. But you have to think about it. When investigators actually got there and they saw that there was no blood, no blood going outside, wouldn't you start to like, okay, what the heck? So if there's no blood going outside, they're gonna be like, oh, well, someone just cleaned up. Versus, okay, we're not gonna look at anybody that could possibly have been in this house or slept over. It doesn't mean that they have to live there, but who slept over here? And then you're just gonna have to take the word of the person to say, well, no, nobody slept over here. And then I go back and I think about what Kaylee's dad said, and I'm gonna go find it, but my memory's pretty spot on. He said, hey, any pictures that you guys have, we need any pictures that you have, because let's say that let's say somebody said to a cop and they said, hey, I was at so-and-so's, or I was at this place or that place. Okay, well, where'd you park? And you say, oh, I parked right there next to the tree. And here we have pictures of different things, and we come across this picture, and you said that you were actually at this place and that you parked right next to that tree, but here, at the time that you said you were there, here's the tree, and guess what? You know, this black Escalade was there and not your vehicle. And so that got to like, that was a very specific example that he used, to the point that I think that example possibly could have been given to him. And that goes back to me asking about these roommates, and did they have their vehicles? Did they even own vehicles? And if they did, where were they parked? Because they weren't there. Travel hops. Absolutely. If he slept over, it would be hard for him to have not left more traceable DNA. Depends. They only took 113 pieces of evidence out of there. They don't know. Were they downstairs in those first two rooms doing anything? I have no idea. No idea. But if we think about where this name Brian could have come from, think about one of the girls. Maybe he doesn't sleep over, but maybe at that 9:12, when it says that he comes in that area, did he pick her up? Were they planning on going and getting like, who knows, whatever. But did he come and pick her up? So she ends up like, she leaves and she comes out. And so it was always said that the two surviving roommates were there during the homicides, but it doesn't say that they were there when the police were there. So is there a possibility that, oh, where were you? My boyfriend came to pick me up in the morning. Okay, well, who's that? Did they come back and did they circle back around to that name? I don't know. Has Long Face made any statement about the lack of blood outside? Now they're still looking for that 2011 white Hyundai Elantra. Oh no, so did Bethany know Brian? Has that been stated as fact? No, we're not saying anything like that. We're talking about is they both like to rap though on that, was it SoundCloud? Yeah. This is about an informant and why a search warrant and wanting the search warrants would cause Bill Thompson to have to reveal that, yeah, not all of those are going to be given over. If we can, obviously if we can help it, because we're going to ask that an informant that we don't plan on having take the stand and testify, if those search warrants were to be revealed, one of them or possibly multiple of them, it would then cough up the identity of an informant, and that would cause a danger to that person. And like I said, very weird wording, but when you break it on down, it just means that it just has to do with how they got to their perpetrator, or the person they think is the perpetrator. The person that's either Brian did this with other people, or Brian didn't do this, right? Are those pretty much the three options? But then why is Brian being accused? Somebody went through some links to try to see to it that this person would go down if he was not the one. True justice for the 4 victims will be when the right person or people are locked up. 100%. 100%. Do you guys ever think about why this would be so complex? What would make this so complex? What would make it so that you couldn't, when you found out about this person or whoever gave up this name, what would make it so that it would have to be some secret society with it, that you couldn't call him up or go visit him at his office hours and ask about his white Elantra? Why? Was somebody still trying to get something, meet up with them, be wired up, meet up with them and be wired up? But why? How did this person or possibly people, when they spoke with law enforcement and they said, hey, XYZ, and it's, Brian, and, we were all just joking around one night, and he was saying how he fucking couldn't stand how they acted, and they didn't include him in things, but we never took him seriously. Holy shit, did he really do this? I can't believe it. He stopped coming around because he got so pissed. Something like that. And then so they go and they tell the police this. Well, so what would be so secret society about that? But if you think about it, whatever you're going to be saying, it has to be something that's hey, we had this crazy plan, and this is how we plan on getting away with everything. Well, that sounds to me like a co-defendant then. That's what? Trying to get immunity, trying to get a deal by turning state's evidence, that's a co-defendant. But that's not an informant. An informant is somebody that had nothing to do with it at all. But why wouldn't you just be able to go up to his office hours and ask him about his white Elantra? Bullshit with him, maybe get some, information on him, go talk to, see what he starts saying to be able to use against him. If you have that touch DNA, to try to be able to snatch up his DNA, Silly question, but do you think Brian was interrogated yet? And if so, MPA? Yes, I believe that he talked. I don't know if you know when he's interrogate, but I believe that he talked to the police for like 10 or 15 minutes in Pennsylvania and then asked for a lawyer. Now, according to my source, as far as the safe would go, if you had a safe, because everybody thinks that drugs is involved. So let's say there was a big safe at that house. You can't just go in that safe. You'd have to have the search warrant in terms of if the cops think that there's a reasonable belief that it would be connected to a criminal offense. So, what was the motivation for the unaliving, though? Well, it seems like it sends a message to me, but there you go. See, this is the part that doesn't sit well with me, because I agree that's exactly what could happen, without a doubt. That they got one of his TAs to wear a wire, and be in the office hours. I mean, who knows, but that's something you would be testifying to, though. This is something that this information, there's going to be no testifying about it. It's like this. It's like they used the search warrant to do something, and they were looking for X, Y, and Z. Okay. But they got this search warrant by saying that so-and-so said something, right? So somewhere along the lines, either in the application of the search warrant or in the items, the inventory of the search warrant, I believe that there's a name. Okay, there's a name, or there's things that would be associated with a name, and that's the stuff that it's like, oh shit. Okay. We know that one or two or three people that did this. Okay. But if we go about it this way, we need to go about it a different way. We can't go about it this way, because it's going to ruin, something else. So much so that we're going to take the information that we got from it and go about it another way to get what we need. Because if we're not going to go about it that way. That's what this screams to me. So then therefore this person isn't testifying. They're not a witness. But we got this information. Because of this information, we were able to get X, Y, and Z, aka Brian, or that's what it screams to me. And the thing that I think there's a highly possible good chance is this: if something was a search warrant and it had something to do with Sigma Chi, and all the stuff that may have come from that. Again, this is a very, you're not turning over these search warrants, and you have to say that, otherwise it's going to be a violation. So you're saying that, and you're saying that you're not doing it because you're going to invoke privilege upon an informant that you're using that's not going to testify. They're not testifying. So that's what I was trying to explain to Aaron. It's just like, well, it's not like there's nothing nefarious. No, it's like this is a man's life, and if he's going to face the death penalty, I think anybody would want to know, like, wait a second, what the hell's going on here? How did my name come up? Like, now you're just going to put me on some white Elantra. Now you're just going to do this. Yeah, because okay, so great. I have a white Elantra. Awesome. What does that mean? Why couldn't these murders happen at 6:00? What's going on? And they're very specific. Like, these murders have to happen between 4 and 4:25. Otherwise, it's not Brian. Like, that's their window, and their window is that reason because of that white car. Well, to me, the only person that would know that type of stuff would be somebody that knows about the murders. And if we want to cover up something and the involvement of other people and possibly what it could lead to, then we need to solely fall on that guy. So it'll be interesting if somebody else gets arrested. This isn't speculating on, this is actually fact. I mean, this is what the Bill Thompson put in his response to discovery requests. It's as simple as they wanted these search warrants. That's what you normally, here you go. But they're like, they never asked about, oh, do you have informants, or are there any confidence? Is anybody, actually, they did ask if people were getting leniency to testify and stuff like that, which they refused to answer. But they were just like, we want the search warrants. We want anything, and that's part of discovery. If you went ahead and you filed a search warrant, whether or not it was given or not, we want it. And we want to know. And she was very smart to do that. But by her doing that and asking for that, the response made Bill Thompson go off on a tangent about that an informant has the right to be protected. And if that informant is not going to be a witness, and therefore that would all fall under like protected information. So, and he was throwing his hands up at the mercy of the court by saying a prayer and his language to make sure that appropriate protection happens for this person as well. And that's just really, really bizarre. Over asking for some search warrants. You'd think, well, I want to know what y'all were working on before you decided to come up my tree. You know, if everyone was being so, what's the word, cooperative, you should have all these police reports. You should have these interviews. You should have all these pages of, you know, your discovery and all this body cam and so J-Dub's talking about the gosh, whose parents had both? I don't know. I haven't deep dive people's religions over here, but you could tell me though. Save me the time. I don't believe so. The Dancing Queen said, "Could Brian's parents be the informant?" I mean, could they be? Yeah, they could be, but I don't believe that they are. You guys have to go back to this whole beginning of the 42 FBI agents. Like, what the hell was going on there? Why are all these FBI agents there? They continue to stay there. Like, what was going on? So, I'm trying to give like a really good example of oh, great. Thanks, Kendra, for sharing that. After I just saw that 3-episode. Alien dog. Look at that. Would a website of Circle Sleuths be the answer where they can upload real verified documents of evidence and collaboration of sleuths? I don't know what the answer is, but I can tell you that this is not what it says it is. And what's the patterns tell us of this community? What are the patterns? Because Brian Kohlberger was not part of the patterns of this community. He just moved there. That has always never sat well with me, is the fact that Brian Kohlberger just moved there. Obviously, that doesn't mean that he couldn't have done it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about the whole situation of it. How do you get personally invested in something like that so short term? And this was like tactical. This was like I'm glad that you said this, Jennifer. They saw an Elantra on camera turn into King Road 3 times and eventually park at 1122 King Road. They didn't park there. It disappears. But if you are actually watching a video from 3 o'clock in the morning until noon when the 911 calls went out, if you watch it, because you don't know when it happened, right? If the first account was that these two girls were sleeping and they didn't see anything, okay, because they didn't want to say anything because they were scared. So their first account is that they were downstairs and they were sleeping. So then you don't know what time this would have happened. So when you're watching a video from 3 a.m. till noon, you're going to see a bunch of different cars come and go. But just because that car or a car that was white and is circling, at 3:30 in the morning till 4:04, how is that, like a delivery person? Because you're going to be looking at the whole camera. You're going to be looking at all these hours, all these times. And then you see that same car that's earlier there at 2:58. Okay, but what other cars were there? Did you have to eliminate those other cars when you would have saw, let's say, a Jeep or a freaking F-150? I mean, when you actually go through the whole time frame from 3 to noon, because the neighbor hands you the Ring camera to go through, and you're going through that. And the testimony is that you're at first, those people slept through it. And you're listening to these press conferences that are allegedly happening, and you got the police chief saying that he doesn't know how many people were there when the 911 call was named. He doesn't even know who's there. Like, how does that, now either he's just playing dumb as can be on the 16th and then the 20th of November. And then you got people saying things like that these two were bound and gagged, and was it a hostage situation? Was like a suicide? I'm like, wait, what? Where is this stuff coming from? But all rumors start from usually some type of truth of a situation that takes on a complete left or right. But why would that vehicle be, they had to be there on foot or in a car? Why aren't they thinking that somebody could come from the back and come to the woods from Walenta? I mean, it just, and is this a surveillance camera that's constantly running? Was everything recorded? It's just, I think it's going to be very, very interesting to know what's on that camera once 10 and 11 a.m. and 10 a.m. And then when the people come over for the 911 call, running outside screaming and stuff like that, and then who actually comes to the house, and then does anybody leave before the police arrive? I think that's going to be interesting. But how they narrow in and say what they're saying, just curious, was there one interview with both Bethany and Dylan, or were there multiple ones? So how do you just, especially if everybody's up, especially if everyone said that, yeah, we went to bed at 4. Wasn't that a little convenient that you're saying that you went to bed at 4 and, the murders happened right when they went to bed at 4, between 4 and 4:25? Think about that. Isn't that just, it wasn't okay, let's wait till 5 so that we know people are asleep so that nobody does wake up, and so that it's And then the whole felony burglary, like, who's to say that stuff actually wasn't stolen out of that house, and that there was a bunch of drugs there that weren't stolen out of that house because somebody was keeping their drugs there? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there to say, when you want to talk about the house being the target, when you want to talk about, but to hone in and to say that, okay, well, somebody got a DoorDash at 4 though, and someone's eating, and okay, so does that make really sense that happened between 4 and 4:25, but yet nobody could scratch Brian. Nobody got their hands on Brian to scratch him, but they were in a dogfight. Supposedly, Ethan and Xana were in a dogfight down on the second floor, but nobody was able to scratch him on his neck. Remember, you guys are all thinking that he just had a COVID mask on. Nobody could get him like right here to then have, DNA underneath their fingernails. Oh, thanks, Aaron. You could put me right through that law school program. Think about it. You're sitting around a round table because you're the police chief, right? Or you're the lead investigator, and you have all these interviews, and you're thinking, okay, well, they're saying everybody got home at 2. Everybody's there at the residence at 2. But then everybody was in their rooms by 4. Maybe not asleep, but everybody's in their rooms by 4. Well, somebody that's a surviving roommate would have had to say that. Or somebody that was there and spent the night there would have had to say that, right? So who said that? And then you're telling me right when people went to, like, literally when everybody was in their room, that minute, okay, boom. The murders occurred between 4 and 4:25, the minute that everybody was in the bedrooms. How would this white Elantra know that everybody was in their bedrooms at that point? Unless they were told that. I love when my hairdresser hits me up at 11:40. What's your availability this week? Hi. Let's put her on speakerphone.
Hello.
Hey, nothing like 11:40 p.m. Hey, girl, when are you available this week?
Well, I mean, I think that you'd be up.
Yep. What do you got tomorrow?
Let's see here. What's your availability tomorrow?
For you, whatever, girl.
Do you have to work?
24/7. But you know what? I can just work from the chair. Or
so, actually, Ryan's bringing Austin down tomorrow at 4:30.
Oh, really? So,
if you want to come before, you can come.
I was gonna say, can I come before that?
Yeah.
All right, put me down for 3:30.
All right, perfect.
All right, love you. I'll see you then.
I love you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Just the sexiest hairstylist ever. She's the best. You gotta get the good ones that can put your blonde in, right? The lights were off. If we came up with these what ifs, think what Ann Taylor will do. You guys, it just doesn't. If you really sit back and you think about it, there's something really, really off. And when something's really, really off, and then you actually read these documents and the stuff that they're writing and saying, I don't want to know what's going on. It just, woo. Then what's the pattern over there? Drugs, overdoses. You guys, it's all in the paperwork. If you go and you look up like these calls that come in, girl is foaming at the mouth at 2:00 in the afternoon. Just wild stuff. Wild. A lot of drugs. Lots of drugs. What college campus doesn't have drugs, all right? I just think is there a lot of fentanyl going around? Fentanyl leads to overdoses. Just so you guys know, the Moscow Police Department Chief Fry got paid 171% over the national average. I don't know if it was 2019, 2020. Just go. It's all public information. All these people are paid well. Those are the ones you got to watch out for. How could someone think Fry is corrupt? I found out that his wife's the clerk. How do you think they afforded their lifestyle summer jobs? I don't recall Maddie working. Oh, Mad Greek, I guess. Actually, I was talking about that today. The sheath was found on Maddie's right side as viewed from the door. I believe that the single bed was pushed up against the wall. And so when your single bed is pushed up against the wall, it gives you more room to kind of use the wall to kind of lay on without falling over, especially if you're going to have two people in the bed. But what was interesting to me is how I viewed it as, when you walked into Maddie's room and that bed, it was kind of right there. And the head was actually on the far wall, the headboard. So her body, who's laying on the inside of the bed versus the outside of the bed? I'm a huge outside sleeper. I'm never going to sleep on the inside up against the wall when someone's sleeping in a bed with me that's up against the wall. So was Kaylee on the inside then? Because Maddie would have to be on the outside if she's on the right side of her body when looking at it from the door. What I just think he means is him just viewing it as it was when looking at the door, it's on the right side of her. But curious about that because I think that it's interesting because it was Kaylee's phone I believe had died, and that's why she used Maddie's to then call Jack, because her mom stated in that interview that when she had called Kaylee, it just went straight to voicemail. And that's what happens when phones are dead. But Maddie's just kept on ringing. So just curious there, though, because if my friend was the one that was actually the one who was more drunk and I was putting her in bed, I would put her in bed. And then if I came to her room to actually use her phone, I would be on the outside of the bed. So I thought that was interesting. And see, if you're putting her on the outside and Kaylee on the inside, then it's that they had planned then to sleep unless the body was brought in from somewhere else and thrown on there. But it wasn't pushed against the door. It was, here, I'll show you. They took a picture from, oh God, what live did I do that in? I'll go find it and show you a peach next slide, because I'm gonna round this up. I really don't want to go hunting right now for this, but I'll take a pic. If it was in between them, I'm sure he would have included both their names, not as many. I think that it would have been said like it was in between the bodies. You know what I mean? Also, did they just make a mistake on which person was which person? You know, who knows? But I'm just curious of the placement, only because the order that I mean, would you reach over somebody? Wouldn't you stab the first available body in a bed? But if you think about it, though, if I wasn't fully asleep and somebody came in that room and tried to come at me, I would try to run. I would try to get out of the bed, which could be why the difference of wounds and what Maddie just didn't wake up at all. It's interesting. And I hate to talk about it because it's so disturbing, especially like talk about it publicly like that. Yes, she did. Dylan had Kaylee as her +1 that weekend. Yep. Or like she could have just been like saying that if it was like a funny thing. The touch DNA, that's going to get destroyed in court, without a doubt. It doesn't matter whose DNA would be touch DNA on that. That's going to hold no weight, in my opinion. Very little touch DNA always gets destroyed. But I think what people should think about that touch DNA is he had gloves on. The perp, whoever did this, had gloves on, right? So when he would have went to unbuckle the, to get this knife out or whatever, he has gloves on. So when you think that this sheath wasn't wiped down, because you'd have like if you don't have the knife in the sheath when you're going into the house and it's like in your hand already, then why do you even have a sheath on you? And if you don't think that these would have been all things that like somebody like Brian Kohlberger would have been thinking about, they would be, because this is all about that this is criminology, that this is 101, maybe level 200 with some of it. But that's what I'm saying, is that this doesn't fit a PhD criminology student, somebody that can't handle that they're vegan and stabbing people and blood like other people's blood going all over them. That's These are things that just don't fit. And then you can try to make them fit. Yeah, you have your gloves on and you go to pop that. Where does this print get left? Where does this touch happen? He has gloves on. Now, wouldn't this be something? You have a sheath there, right? Now that sheath can only hold a knife that is so big, right? Otherwise, it won't fit in the sheath, right? So the first thing I would do, I'd want to know the size of the sheath, you know, the width, the length, and then I'd want to start comparing and going and looking at the biggest gouges. Reason being is that you want a medical examiner to look at gouges that would show that that knife was bigger than what was able to be fit in that sheath. And with some of the stuff that we have heard to this point about, you know, we're talking about gouges, stuff like just the language that's been used. And if you can get it that some of these wounds are bigger than what the sheath would hold, wouldn't that be interesting? So that's what I would be going for. That if I thought that that could be something that could possibly be planted, right? That the knife and the sheath didn't match. Well, Marcus, you got what I was saying, right? I'm not an ME here. But the whole point is that if you can get something from an expert on something like that, then you're basically what? I mean, who goes to go commit a crime like this, and how does your knife fit into your sheath that is completely not the right size? So if it don't fit, you must have quit. Well, I've seen the one that Scott Roeder had. The one time he was on here, he ripped out this knife. I was like, holy shit. It was huge. It was huge. Oh, defense will have a field day 100. I don't think anybody did this alone. Not even to the point of, not even like, the best word to say is that this was like, FB Jones, thank you. I saw that. Thank you for becoming a member of the FB Jones. Where is it at here? Kaylee's family has a Facebook group, and her dad put a little video out asking for more info, tips, etc. So it leads me to believe he may not be convinced of this BK story either. Well, I think also he had to do that because of the gag with the lawyer. So I think that he could do that and be okay. Make sure you guys let everybody know if you like the video, thumbs it up. If you didn't like the video, thumbs it down. Lana, why would a thumbprint be on the sheet? Well, you could also toy with the police. So a psyche move with that would be to leave it. But you would leave it, and but it wouldn't trace to anybody. If you wanted to like talk about something that could be a psyche with that, but that's not the case here, seeing as that there's this unidentified male touch DNA. I can't wait to find out if there's blood on that sheath. If you sit here and tell me that there's no blood on that sheath, or I'm going to say, wow. Yep, it's not a print. Sorry about that. Man, every time you miss something. Whoopsies, sorry. All right, I'm gonna end this anyways. You guys are great. Thank you for being here. Check out the beginning if you just joined us a little bit later. There's a 5 or 6 minute video pre-record, and then I have a couple that I'm releasing tomorrow and then Wednesday. Also, if you joined us late, I'll be posting a picture of Bethany with dark hair and her love for her rap song that she put out on SoundCloud. So, I honestly, that makes no sense to me why anything would have been removed from that home. Very, very just. They were trying to do everything. If you go pay attention to the press releases, they were trying to do a bunch of stuff before they arrested Brian. And those are red flags to me. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you, mods. Thank you, members. Thank you, subscribers. Hope you guys had a good, mellow night. And AC Scott's actually going to be on the show this week. So in terms of what video, he'll be here. Tracy, great chat. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thanks all of you guys. Have a good night. Yeah, thank you so much. You guys are just as great. Yep, the year of the car was wrong. Yep. Secret society. Secret. Give everyone's Alexa a shout out. That's funny. All right, you guys are great. Again, have yourselves a great night, and I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow if you join back. So, Tammy, yep, go back to that beginning. Catch that video. Oh, you're welcome, AC. I just thought I would let you know that because I was like, wait a second, that's going to be live. So, again, hearts to all of you guys. Thanks again, and be kind. Again, don't forget to help me out by thumbsing up the video if you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, though, please also make yourself known. Don't forget, you have a voice, you have a thumb, use it. Good night, guys.